Hey cruisers, it's Kevin and Frank from Cruising with Wheels.
Find out today how you can join Kevin and become a superhero and stomp out the norovirus on your cruise before it even begins.
So I think a big concern of cruisers in past and present and probably future is the norovirus.
Right.
What it is, how we can prevent it, and what the treatments and how the cruise lines manage.
I know. Now people are always worried. I mean, I know I am, getting sick at home before you're leaving on the cruise, but what happens if you get sick on the cruise because of a norovirus outbreak?
Mm-hmm. Now, the norovirus is something that's extremely common.
Yeah.
It's highly, highly, highly contagious. And it's with your gastric system?
Yes, it's kind of a gastrointestinal, otherwise referred to as the 24-hour stomach bug.
Ugh,
yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No, because you go on a cruise and it's, it's all about the food. Nobody wants to be sick with, vomiting, diarrhea, and the like. Nobody wants that.
It's a horrible subject to talk about, but
is.
it needs to be talked about.
Right, because it's passed from person to person through physical contact or maybe through food or water.
Now, the Centers for Disease Control estimates that the norovirus affects over 23 million people annually.
Yes.
And that's just the United States.
Right. Now, I remember we had a sit down with the hotel director from the Bliss, I think it was. And we talked about the norovirus, and he brought up kind of a good point in terms of perspective. And he said, millions of people get the norovirus every day. But when 100 people on a cruise ship get it, it's all over the news. And people go berserk about it.
Because it's not just, the norovirus is not just something that affects cruise ships. But it seems to be a hot topic.
It's a hot button issue.
And everybody's concerned about it. And I don't know. It turns out that annually, it's less than 1% of cruise ship passengers are affected by this norovirus. So it really isn't a huge concern. However, you need to protect yourself and you need to protect the others that you're cruising with.
And the cruise lines, every one of them has a protocol that they do if they even suspect there's a possible outbreak.
Right.
Now, I remember, and I think it was the NCL GEM 2017, we were at muster drill. And there were guests that were already puking before the ship even left dock. And I remember the crew was like, they needed to know, was it puking because these people had already consumed too much alcohol, or were they puking because they were sick with a possible norovirus? And they needed to know whether these people were going to be confined to their cabins or not. And then I think you said they found that same lady in a hallway and she was puking again. And it was crazy because it turned out they were just drinking way too much. Obviously probably had the drinks package, hadn't even left port at 4 o'clock, and were already bombed out of their minds.
Well, regardless of that, they had to go through the whole treatment and management protocol for the norovirus, just in case. So, what are the protocols?
Well, each cruise line has their own set of protocols to prevent the norovirus. But if they even have a hint, and I remember, again, a couple of cruises ago, remember when we couldn't get in our cabin and they had the steel doors shut and you kept going, I'm going to go check and see if the cabin's ready, and it wasn't? That's because I think they had a small, or what they thought was a small outbreak from the previous cruise. So it wasn't just a matter of, the cabin stewards getting into the cabins and doing the regular setup for the new cruise. They were into norovirus prevention protocols, which is a deep cleaning, deep sanitizing, and that's why we didn't get into our cabins till like 2 p.m.
You just never know, so
You
don't go past that door if it's closed.
I know, and don't get mad if your cabin's not ready, because everything is being ready for you because they want to make sure that you have a clean, safe environment when you cruise. Mm-hmm. Also, don't they have one of the TV channels in your room going on?
Most of the cruise lines do, yep. They have.
Right, because when you click on your TV in your cabin, they got a thing about excursions. They got a thing about.
Well, it's probably on that safety channel.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Yeah, and they go over.
There's something about, the first day there's a safety channel.
And
it's about the muster drill and staying safe and, and being sanitary.
Right. So they bring you all this information directly to the cruise passengers right in their cabin. Just turn that TV on and go through your TV listing like I do.
I think a couple of the sailings they've had not demonstrations. What's the word? Classes.
On prevention?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good to know. I mean, some people are very concerned. Mm-hmm. It's a like deciding factor of vacation. Do I want to go on a cruise and possibly be trapped on a ship for 7-8 days and there's a norovirus outbreak, and I've spent all that money. I have waited an entire year to go, and now there's a virus outbreak, and maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't, but it's kind of a downer.
Well, let's talk about how they can prevent it.
Yes, because that's the biggie.
Because
how are you a superhero?
Well, you make people wash their hands.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing is wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands.
And why is that? So, I know you've run into things in the men's room that I don't see because I go to the handicapped restroom. But you're in the regular men's restroom with everybody else.
Well, people don't wash their hands, and it's disgusting. And you need to wash your hands.
When you're in the bathroom.
And if you call them out.
I know.
That's what I do. And that's what you all should do. If you see somebody that isn't washing their hands or doesn't use the hand sanitizer, you call them out.
That's right. Don't let them leave the stall or the urinal.
Don't let them leave the bathroom.
And then try to walk out without, Kevin's like, excuse me, stop right there. Step away from the door.
Now, also in the bathrooms, which I don't think you see a lot because usually there's a thing you wave your hand and the door opens for you.
Oh, really?
No, for you,
stupid.
Yeah,
I was going to say for me. Yeah, it does. And I'm thinking, you have that too?
When in our bathrooms, in the non-handicapped bathrooms, there's usually, not always, but usually a little dispenser that has paper on it because they don't want you to touch the handle, the door handle, because you've now washed your hands and now you're going to touch this door handle that maybe Joe Schmo, 5 people before, didn't wash his hands.
Right.
So make sure you use that. Or what I do, if they don't have that, is I always pull a piece of paper towel that's used to dry your hands with. And that is what I use to open the door with. And then I kick it with my foot and throw the thing in the garbage.
Right.
Because I'm not touching it.
Right. And then after the whole bathroom scene.
I'm not getting cooties.
Nobody wants cooties. Or as my kids would say, oh, Dad, there's no such thing as cooties. Yeah, there is. Mm-hmm. And because after you get out of the bathroom and you've instructed everybody in there to wash their hands, there are hand sanitizer machines, dispensers, usually now all over the ship. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, famous NCL washy-washy crew members who are singing to you about it.
Well, but it's all about hand washing to stop the norovirus. I don't want to give them a false sense of security with these hand sanitizers because
it is.
It's a false sense of security. It is not any alcohol-based hand sanitizer is not going to stop you from getting the norovirus.
Right. Because I think doctor or
hand washing.
nurse or whatever, and so many of them have commented on this issue. Basic hand washing with warm water and soap is the #1 preventative measure.
Now,
and after that, to supplement with the hand sanitizer, but proper hand washing. That's what they'll tell you.
Do you know proper hand washing?
Oh, let's talk about that.
So I read an article, and I also I'll also preface everything with that I had cancer, right? You knew I had cancer. Maybe they don't realize that. And I went through treatments for two and a half years. And as part of that treatment, they taught us how to properly wash our hands. So it was the article plus what they showed us.
You had to prevent infection.
We have to prevent infection because you're highly susceptible.
Right.
So everything is wringing your hands over and over and over. And you know what the stupid thing is that I do when I wash my hands? You wet your hands, right? Warm water, even cold water works. Did you know that? They told us.
My little hands need warm water.
Cold water, warm water, hot water, it doesn't matter. A little bit of water, the soap, and then you start going, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
It's like being a surgeon. Scrubbing.
Happy birthday, dear cruising with wheels. Happy birthday to you. Because it's all about the amount of time you're doing it and making sure that you're getting between your fingers and under your nails and on the upper part of your hand.
Yeah, you really are like a surgeon scrubbing up.
Really. And I know people that watch our videos often comment that, I'm touching my face or I'm scratching my nose. Every time you do that, you're going to need to wash your hands again before
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. So.
But it's true. It's like before you drink, before you eat, smoke, before you put on your makeup, wipe your hands before you put your contacts in. Whatever you have touched, the table, a doorknob, holding the elevator for somebody, shaking someone's hand, contagion. But that's here at home.
That's here at home too. That's our whole point.
That's the perspective part.
Is that, yes, we need to put it into perspective because you only hear about this norovirus junk when it comes to cruise ships. But in a cruise ship, it spreads like wildfire because you're in a contained area with a lot of people.
You can't get in your car and go home and say, oh, did you hear Joe was sick, so we're leaving. You can't do that unless you want to lock yourself in your cabin. And there have been severe outbreaks on cruise ships, right, where the passengers have all been confined. And
that is why, that brings up a good point, that is why everyone has to fill out that health and safety form prior to boarding and not lie on it.
Right.
Because you could really, really cause a lot of people
They're looking for people coughing, sneezing, people that appear sick. It asks you, do you have a fever? Do you have a cough? Do you have this? Do you have that? You got to be honest. You get one person who is contagious on a cruise ship, and we had that on my 2006 Mediterranean cruise on the Costa Europa. 2 days before we were done, it became the ship of death, and everybody was sick. Sitting in the giant dining room for breakfast, everybody was coughing and sneezing. And I remember I was getting it. I was like, I'm going to go get up and get another cup of coffee. And I walked up to the coffee machines, and we were in line, and the person in front of me went and sneezed all over the coffee machine, got his coffee, walked away, and I was like, I don't think so. And they're sneezing. They're not covering their mouths.
Well, that wasn't norovirus. Your ship didn't have norovirus.
We had something. I was sick for 2 months.
We were just talking about norovirus. I don't want them to think that their ship had norovirus.
Well, my ship had something.
Because you can get sick from being in a contained space and other people being sick. So that's why we say it's important to wash your hands.
And cover your
That's an
mouth.
example of why you should cover your mouth when you cough, cover your mouth when you sneeze. If you cough, instead of coughing into your hand,
How you doing?
no, they
Right?
This is what they say. They say instead of coughing or sneezing into your hand, you do it into your elbow.
Right. Because when you do this, or I sneeze,
Now it's on your hand, and now I touched
Now
the
I'm
table,
touching the
and now I
table.
touched
Right.
him, and now I,
and I'm
you know.
shaking hands, and I'm reaching for food.
So just try to be mindful.
Yeah. Right. Cough and sneeze in your arm. Well, how many people know that or don't know that?
I don't know.
Because people are so used to doing this or not covering their mouth at all.
Well, I think it's great to at least cover your sneeze or cough, but really we gotta.
But there it is, people.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
already
really.
there now. What do you
It's
do?
invisible. It's going everywhere.
I know. So what happens if you do get it? I mean, you do get a bout of the norovirus. Then what can they do for you? What's the treatment?
I think the first thing that you do when you think you have the norovirus, if you seriously think you have the norovirus, you should get down to the ship's medical center or up. It depends on where it is on the ship.
Because sometimes it's hard to figure out.
Yeah, so usually one of the first things I do when I'm on the cruise ship is I familiarize myself with where the medical center is, because if there's an emergency, if you don't feel well, we need to get you there quickly. I want to know where it is.
Right.
And their hours, because very often they're there from 8 until 9 and from 7 until 10. So, very limited
Only get
hours.
sick in those hours.
Yeah. So if you think you have the norovirus, then you go and be examined by the ship's medical center.
But some people have a delicate stomach.
Right.
I know.
So you know yourself.
I do. And maybe after eating, you'll get some diarrhea. It doesn't mean you have the norovirus. But I would think that, if I had
persistent.
Yeah. If I had persistent diarrhea and I started to vomit, which I never do, and I always say, if I throw up, take me to the hospital now, because I never throw up. Then there's something majorly wrong.
So there's not a lot they can do for you except make you comfortable.
Right.
So they'll give you like an anti-diarrhea drug. They'll give you anti-vomiting if you're having a vomiting issue.
Right.
What's that say?
Lots of fluids. Oh, that's an antispasmodic. I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't sound good.
Well, maybe if your stomach is all and knots.
Spasms and cramps.
Spasms and cramps.
Oh, gosh.
And in some cases, they give you antibiotics.
Yeah. But
Now, I want to.
stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, and this is a perfect point of this video to talk about travel insurance.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because your medical center is not free on a cruise ship.
Right.
You're paying out of pocket, and if you are living in the United States right now, you know the high cost of medical. And your medical insurance very often won't be taken by cruise ships. So we always say to get travel insurance. For example, our travel insurance for the trip that's coming up was $25 a person. We got it through the cruise line. It's we don't often get it through the cruise line, but it was the best deal, and it covered a lot, and it covers $10,000 of medical. But you have to keep in mind, you have to pay that first,
Right, before
and
you get
then
that
be
back.
reimbursed by the travel insurance.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you're not going to make a phone call and they're going to go, no problem, we'll funnel the money to the cruise. It's like, no, they're not. You're paying for it. Or you're on an island and you have an accident. You break your arm, you sprain your ankle, you got to go to the nearest hospital. You're paying for that. And if you have cruise insurance, hopefully it covers that, then you'll get reimbursed after. But it's upfront paying out.
So I think the takeaway for this is to protect yourself against norovirus on a cruise ship. You should follow good hand washing and hygiene procedures. You should be prepared by maybe bringing along some anti-diarrhea
Right, which we
drugs.
do. Yep.
And also give yourself a little bit of a buffer as far as your cash or credit cards are concerned to be prepared for an emergency if this were to happen.
We bring multiple credit cards. The one we use on our ship account, everything we charge there. But then the other one is the emergency card. God forbid there's a cancellation of flights. We have to stay overnight. No one's sleeping in the airport. I'll tell you that right. I'm not.
And buy travel insurance because they will more than likely reimburse you for whatever issues you've had.
Because you're going to get off the ship after a norovirus outbreak, and is the cruise line going to reimburse everybody?
No, but in a lot of cases they have. But they generally don't do it with cash. They do it with another cruise.
Right. We'll give you 50% off your next cruise. Meanwhile, you've been sick all week and you're thinking, I am never going to cruise with these people again. But again, I think the cruise lines get a bad rap.
Yeah, I think it's very slim and you shouldn't be worried.
Where it comes to the norovirus, because 23 million a year. But as hotel director Slovo Sekulovic said to us on the Bliss, they get a bad rap when 100 people on the ship get it. Meanwhile, millions are getting it across the country and no one says boo. But 100 get it on a ship and it's all over ABC News, NBC, CNN, major stories all over Facebook. And it's kind of not fair. So that's the story on the norovirus and how you can prevent it. Join Kevin in being a superhero and making sure everyone else is following the guidelines and keeping safe.
Speak up.
That's right. See something, say something.
That's right.
So that's the tale of the norovirus. I want to remind you, if you're just watching this YouTube video and you're not a regular subscriber to Cruising with Wheels, please hit that subscribe button.
Don't be a dingling. Hit the bell.
Hit that bell next to it and you'll get automatic notices every time one of our videos goes live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram.
That's right.
But until next time, we want to remind you to
travel safe
and to cruise often.